I don't normally travel with that many cards, but I'll show you a couple. It's one of my favorite Kyrie rookies. Most of my nice stuff I keep back home, but here are a couple of fun ones. This is a Jeter signed rookie and Roger Federer signed rookie. Willie Mays from his first year in 1951. Those are crazy. Charles Barkley rookie numbered to 10,000.
Was that Kyrie a rookie?
Yeah, it's 2012-13. They printed 199. These are fun. I have 7 of these. This is the first basketball card ever made, first NBA card. The league was founded in 1946, and then the first real NBA set was 1948. It's most famous because there's a dude named George McCann who's in here. This card of George is like a $70,000 card, but I was like, let me go for the number 1 card in the set because it's sort of the first of all time. Jaren Jackson rookie number to 25.
I like that.
I like Jaren a lot. Here's a Dominique 86 Fleer. I like those. Classic. Yeah, those are a couple here.
Awesome, man. How have you been for the past few months?
Great, man. Really great. Excited to I've been on the road in the last 3 months. Well, in September I decided I was going to spend a month in a different city every month.
That's awesome.
I've been doing that. And then the last 3 months I was in Nashville for a month, then Austin, Texas. Now I'm in Dallas, and on Sunday I go back to the East Coast. So ready to log back in. I'm excited, but it's been fun, busy work-wise, but I'm excited to lock back in on personal stuff like podcasts and all sorts of stuff like that. How are you though? Everything good?
I'm good, man. Yeah, just doing my thing. Not traveling everywhere like you, but you know. But when did you decide to do that? I know you originally are from New York, but when did you decide that you're gonna live in a different state every month, right?
Yeah, I decided, like, I started telling people last June, and then I finally started it last August, September. Yeah, I I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, but for me now, it's not very conducive to most things in life, but works for me. Are you in school?
I'm sorry?
Are you in school?
I'm in school. I'm in my last year of school, yeah. So I'm excited for that to be done though. I'm a little bit like you. I can't stay in school.
Yeah. So what do you want to do?
I'm an entrepreneur, but like I want to keep growing this brand. Or yeah. And that's basically it, man. I'm not built to work for someone else. I want to do something. I just want to keep building my own brand, my personal brand, everything.
Makes sense. Smart, dude. It's exactly what you should be doing.
First thing I wanted to talk about is your experience with the Crew League so far. That's been pretty awesome. I actually watched last season of it with Russ, Swaley, all those guys. Just talk to us about kind of your experience and how fun that's been.
Yeah. So I have always known that every rapper, most at least, want to be NBA players, and most of the NBA players want to be in the rappers' positions. And I always thought that somebody would do it eventually. I just didn't know who would do it, or whether it would be official or not. And the Crew League guys came to me about, a couple of months before season 1, before we filmed it last November, and they had it. And I was just so excited, and they put such a fun team together in terms of getting Drewski and 24K Golden alongside me. And then the actual games were great. Cool people showed up, and yeah, man, really, really just a blast. But there were definitely some exciting moments, like when a fight broke out in the middle of the very first game, and I thought the whole thing would get shut down, or the championship when Swaley came over and started throwing water at us. It was funny, man. I really enjoyed it. And I'm even more excited for season 2.
How's it been like being around all those big names? I know Jack Harlow's there. I know you're probably a fan of some of those guys. So what's it like actually getting to talk to them, getting to know some of those guys?
Yeah, everybody's super nice, man. I have yet to really meet somebody who's super famous that just isn't a good person,
Uh-huh.
or at least isn't to me. And yeah, definitely the Cooley guys were no exemption of that experience. They were all really great.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna dive into something a bit different now. So we're gonna take it all the way back. Uh, Most people know you for Hoops Nation, obviously. I just want to get in a little bit how you started on Instagram and Facebook, and why you initially started Hoops Nation.
Yeah, totally. So I originally started because I thought there was a deficit in basketball content on the internet, particularly fantasy basketball content.
Mhm.
Um, and young naive me was just like, well, if nobody else is gonna do it, I might as well. And
Mhm.
I started doing it back then on Facebook. About the same time, I moved from New York to Connecticut, and the high school that I was then going to had a local broadcasting stations, like local high school radio for the town of 40,000 people. And I just started broadcasting, started doing girls JV field hockey. And what I only realized in recent retrospect was that, well, A, nobody listened. So I had no reason to be as nervous as I was.
Yeah.
But B, the reason that nobody listened was because if anybody wanted to see the game, the only people that cared about this girls' JV field hockey game were the parents and like siblings, maybe grandparents. If any of them cared, they were at the game. So they
Yeah.
weren't
Yeah. Yeah.
on the radio. But sort of worked my way up there, got more confident on the content side, and started applying a lot of that same stuff over to the stuff on Facebook I was doing, and really, could have cared less about school. So I put a lot of my time into that.
Hmm. And where did your love of broadcasting come? I know you started, you said when you were about 14 years old. What was your first real experience? Was it the girls field hockey, or was it something else that really jump started it?
Yeah, it was definitely the girls' field hockey. The very first game was I think JV soccer, and then I did field hockey. But yeah, definitely a thrill.
So I know you do some work for the NBA. How did you initially get started with them? Because I know you didn't go to school after high school and all that, and some people want to know the route to get there if that's not necessarily for them. So how did you get started with the NBA and some of your other favorite brands?
Yeah, so the NBA, back when I was doing stuff on Facebook, they had reached out to me, crazy enough, to figure out how the hell I was doing what I was doing, and how they could sort of apply some of those same things to what they were doing. Because back then, I was like making these little mixes on iMovie. I didn't even know how to use Premiere, and some of the videos were getting like 50 or 100 million views because it was Facebook. Like Facebook
Hmm.
is very
Oh
different
yeah.
from all other platforms in terms of the way videos can pop. So that sort of caught their attention, and then yeah, I was able to provide a little bit of value on the broadcasting front too. And right after I graduated high school, started calling games for them, but and hosting other shows. Did a show on Twitch where I played 2K against NBA players for like a year.
Okay.
That was funny. But yeah, man, just sort of the process and not forcing things, letting certain things come to you, and just like everything, staying consistent.
So I think you mentioned it in your podcast with Elliot. You interned with Gary V. Of course, everybody knows Gary V. What was that experience like learning from someone that knowledgeable and someone that's done it all?
Yeah, so I interned for VaynerMedia, his digital ad agency,
Hmm.
subdivision called Vayner Talent, when I was like 16 or something like that. And it was great. I mean, I was just such a super fan of his and that whole world, that it was like it really felt like very similarly to what I thought, or I would imagine it is for a lot of kids going to like Disney World, right? Like, you love this world, you think it's imaginary, and then you go there and you're there and you're in it. That's what it felt like for me being at VaynerMedia. And then that went away very quickly when they started having me do spreadsheets. But
Yeah.
I was able to get a little bit of that back when, towards the end of my time there, they realized I wasn't very good at that. I'm not very good at most things, but
Mhm.
I was definitely, even back then, more of a creative soul. So by the end of it, I was just like hopping in on random meetings and talking to people and their clients. So it was super fun, but I love all those guys.
So how'd you actually initially get started with them? Because I know it's not easy to even intern with someone like that big, running a, I don't know how many, 1,000-person business. How'd you get in contact with Gary at first?
Yeah, so I used to sit in on an occasional Columbia college graduate class.
Hmm?
And one day, the professor knew that I really loved Gary. And he was friends with Gary from the venture capital
Hmm?
world. He had Gary to come in and speak one day. So I had told Elliot, who was a good friend of mine, not great friend, but good friend at the time, whom that I was going to be there, and he should let Gary know. And Gary was a lot smaller then. He had 400,000 followers on Instagram, not even.
Yeah,
But he let Gary know that who I was, that I was going to be there. And then the second it finished, I walked right up to him and introduced myself. And he said that I should come hang out at the office sometime. It's actually all on YouTube.
okay.
I forget. I think the name of the vlog is "The Grind Is On," and it's at the very end of it. You can see young me just approaching Gary and introducing myself. But that's how that happened. And then I went to the office and met with them and got it that way.
That's awesome. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, I think was it last year that you made this bet on the Knicks, and how much was it that you bet on them? And I really want to know why you did it.
Yeah, so I'll preface it with, it wasn't real, it was fake, and
I
it
didn't know that.
was just for the sake of the meme. um,
Okay.
but I have thought about actually doing it.
Yeah.
Those were real. Those were the real betting odds. I think it was like $5,000 to win 3 million.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fake. Thank God.
You should have done that this year. They're pretty good this year.
I should have done it for real this year.
Yeah, exactly. So I know you're huge into sports cards now. Well, not only sports cards, but you're into Pokemon cards, everything. What really kickstarted that? Was it Gary? I know I've done it all my life. And then Gary got me going again. So what was it for you?
Yeah, man. I was in it like, super long time. I was doing it when I was like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, going to card shows, buying and selling cards. But my claim to fame is buying Giannis Prism rookie cards for $1. So like just going around and having fun. And the thing about Giannis too, I always have to say, I didn't buy him because I was like an incredible scout. I bought him because I thought it was funny how his last name stretched, and I thought
Yeah.
that was a funny look on the cards, so I just bought a couple of them. Um, but I've always loved cards and collectibles, and now I've expanded from like just baseball cards or basketball cards to, I like presidential signatures. I like dinosaurs, like T-Rex, raptor fossils. I'm invested in a couple triceratops, things like that, and then some other like random collectibles, like signed business cards and checks and things like that. But yeah, I just love collectibles as a whole, and the people in the hobby, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, obviously, Hoops Nation. If anybody wanted to do that, what would your advice be to them? Let's say someone that's 15, 16 years old wants to take the route that you did. What would you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll tell this story. I remember when I started on Instagram, I had already built it on Facebook, but I started on Instagram, and I reached out to the biggest accounts at the time, and they told me that it was too saturated. They told me that you could never build a following now, and this was 2017. They were like, this is way too late. The market is too saturated. Um, and I was like, all right, and did it anyways. And it worked. But and every single one of those accounts back then that told me, they're not around anymore because they didn't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they had, because they would be really big now. But the lesson from that is, don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to any advice from anybody. Nobody knows better than you do. And, you know, just if you are actually passionate about it, it doesn't matter whether it's going to be big or small or somewhere in between. You'll enjoy it and you'll be able to monetize it eventually. But yeah, you know, there's no specific advice. It is mostly just to not listen to anybody else, because it is irrational to be building a brand on social media, because it takes years to monetize it. And that the only time where it makes sense is if it's somebody like yourself or myself, where you're living in a situation that has no overhead. You're
Yeah.
living in a zero cost world. Whereas somebody who's older, it doesn't work like that. And you don't have the hours or time to put in as irrationally as somebody like you or I.
So we just talked about Hoops Nation, but you've sort of expanded on that and you're starting to grow your personal brand even more now. What does that mean to you to keep growing your personal brand aside from Hoops Nation and really just get your name out there?
You know, I could care less about people knowing who I am. I'm more
Yeah.
just want to like have fun. And if I'm going to have fun, why not share that with other people?
Mhm.
So that's really how I look at that. And then, you know, the podcast, which you help out with as well. I just really enjoy fun conversations with fun people. It's really all I like to do. Pretty much
Yeah.
all I do on a daily basis is work out, meditate, and talk to cool people. And that's how I want to keep it forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where that comes in.
That's awesome. So you're living in a different state each month. What are your plans for the future and what does the future look like for you?
Dude, if I could predict the future, I would put all my money in stocks, you know? No, I don't know. I know that I will continue to build all of the businesses I'm building. As far as my physical location, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be on Mars in 7 years. Who the hell knows, man? I couldn't tell you.
You can book a trip there. They're making that possible soon.
I might have to, but no, we'll see how if Earth can pull it together. Yeah, man, I think I'll continue to bounce around from city to city. I'm not trying to lock myself in anywhere in the short term, especially since we're on the what seems like the tail end of a pandemic, but as of time of recording. But um, you know, we'll see.
hmm And Hoops Nation, I know it's just you right now, but would you ever consider scaling that into a larger entity or like a legitimate business?
Yeah, so we actually have 7 people. Crazy enough.
Really? I don't know.
I love that you think it's just me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't
That's
posted.
same with us. People think it's just one person.
Yeah, I haven't posted on Hoops Nation in like over a year, which is
Wow.
kind of crazy.
I know
Uh,
that.
yeah, so we have Hoops Nation, Cards Nation,
Yeah.
Ocean Nation, Travel Nation, NFT Nation, uh, and a few other properties on social. But yeah, man, just trying to have fun, and I am I'm only good at a very few things, so I try to surround myself with people
Yeah.
who.
So you just talked about NFTs. Have you heard about NBA Top Shot and just speaking about some other NFTs? Are you big on them? Are you short on them? Or what's your thoughts on NFT?
Yeah, I really like NFTs. I'm an advisor for a company called Eternity. We're a NFT marketplace for a lot of A-list talent. We just announced that we have Muhammad Ali's license to be able to put out Muhammad Ali NFTs in the coming weeks for the 50th anniversary of some big fights of his. So that's super exciting. That'll be dropping on Eternity's platform. But so I'm super long on NFTs overall. I think people are gonna lose a lot of money like they do in any market where they're just trying to catch a hot wind. But in terms of Top Shot, it's super legit, man. You know, I think yes, people will lose money, but similar to sports cards, most people lose money in sports cards too. You know, the only stuff that really does well in sports cards are the top 10%. So in Top Shot, the only ones that are going to do well are the LeBrons, the Zions, the Trays,
Mhm. Yep.
Lucas. I don't buy into the hype of buying not to single anybody out, but like I'm not buying a Wayne Ellington 3-pointer for $800.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
not doing it. You can't tell me anything. I would rather buy a LeBron physical rookie card all day. So on that point, I think it's ridiculous. But on NFTs and their utility overall, I'm very, very long on it.
So I want to say it was about a month and a half ago, you sent me an invitation to Clubhouse. I've only been on Clubhouse a bit. I've been in some rooms listening, getting some information from people. But from your point of view, are you long on that app? Is it something that can compete with Facebook and Instagram one day? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely do believe in it. I think that it's sort of the reverse, right? Because it's different from Instagram and Facebook. So therefore, Instagram and Facebook have to compete with it. So Instagram's going to be launching, I'm sure, their own version of it. Twitter already launched their own version called Twitter Spaces. Facebook we're developing their own version. Like everybody's going to come out with the competitor to Clubhouse because it's something so new. And as the front runners, yeah, I believe in it, sure. But at the very least, it's fun now, and I'm not an investor in Clubhouse. I don't know in any of it. I have no incentive. I'll go wherever the attention is.
So do you have an ultimate goal? So I know you're doing Hoops Nation right now. You got a bunch of people on your team there. You got the Buster Show right now. You got a bunch of people on your team. You're doing show hosting. What is your ultimate goal, and where do you plan to be in about 5-10 years? What are your long-term goals?
Dude, I'm just trying not to get hit by a car. Like, screw goals. I'm trying to survive, bro. Like, shit. Yeah, man. I don't look at it from the perspective of like I need to be anywhere I'm not. I'm super happy as is. But what gets me excited is continuing to build and work with cool people and help other people. And I just launched my first nonprofit, so we're raising money for
I
like
saw that. Yeah.
charities. Like those are the things that get me really fired up right now. I'm sure that'll be different in a year. It was different a year ago. It'll be different in 2 years. But my goal is to not die in the next 5 years. So hopefully I can answer that question in retrospect.
Okay. You sound a lot like Elliot when you talk about it. I was on the phone with him and I asked him about his goals, and he said, I just want to talk to people and I just want to help people out. I like that.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love that about
absolutely.
Elliot as well.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate the time. Truly. I know we were supposed to do this a little bit a while ago, but I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me.